Hi, I'm Travis with Black Ring Tactical. So in my other video, I showed you how to draw your handgun properly. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you something that not a lot of people talk about, and that's how to reholster your handgun properly. So we all know that the first thing that you do when you're going to practice or train with a handgun, or any gun for that matter, is to make sure that it's unloaded. My Glock 19 is unloaded. So one of the things that you need is a good quality holster. I cannot stress this enough. I've seen people show up to ranges with stuff like this. This is an Uncle Mike's holster. It's nylon. When you draw the gun out of it, it tends to collapse back in on itself. And they're just very cheaply made. A lot of people will buy them because they are cheap. Nobody wants to spend $50, $80, $100 on a holster, but if you think about it, if you put a $500 gun inside of a $10 holster, that really doesn't make sense. So this is what keeps your gun from falling out. It keeps your gun so that you can access it quickly and all that. Stay away from cheap, flimsy nylon holsters like this. They suck. So one of the other options is leather. Now, I'm not a big fan of leather holsters, but I know a lot of people that are. Really, one of the only things that I'm not a fan of it because is it has a tendency to lay flat. They tend to move around a little bit. And one of the problems that you can encounter, especially with nylon holsters, also as well as leather, is that when you go to reholster the gun, sometimes the leather over time through getting wet, getting your sweat and things like that on it, just normal wear and tear, is sometimes that the leather will start to come down in on itself, and when you go to holster the gun, that can actually grab the trigger. Now, a good quality leather holster will actually have a steel insert in it to keep the top of the holster open so that doesn't happen. This one is just it's a Galco holster. It's for my revolver, my little 38, and it's just a cheap in the waistband holster. That thing's only 5 shots, so if I'm coming out, more than likely I'm going to be putting all 5 rounds down range, and I'm not going to have to worry too much about putting the gun away loaded. And if I do, then it's something that I have to pay extra attention to when I'm using this holster. Another inside the waistband holster is this one right here. I'm actually not sure of the brand. I've had it for a really, really long time. I like Kydex. Now, it looks uncomfortable because it's very stiff, and depending on the manufacturer and how they design it, they can be uncomfortable. Sometimes you'll see a holster that will have leather on the backside here so that it feels a little bit more comfortable against your skin. Whatever you want to go with, that's okay. I highly, highly, highly advise against going with anything real cheap, anything nylon like this. You can go on YouTube, you can go read different articles, and you'll find holsters like this that people go to reholster and it folds in on itself and it'll grab the trigger and people shoot themselves. So please do not bring one of those to my classes. One of the most important things about reholstering that I find is one of the most important is looking at where your holster is. I know some instructors will teach, get the gun out fast, shoot fast, everything's fast, and they put the gun away fast. Cool. I don't like that, because if my gun is out in a defensive situation and I'm having to shoot, the last thing that I want to do is put that gun away quickly after I've just had to shoot. Look at where your holster is. Sometimes banging up against things, like this here is just a paddle holster. It can come right off. If I pull that gun out and I'm rolling around on the ground, or if I'm up against a building, something like that, sometimes the holster will shift and it's not in the same position as it was when you drew your gun and you try to put your gun back in there and it's not there. But I find that one of the most important things about looking where your holster is to make sure that trigger does not get pressed when you reholster. I don't think I could do it with this holster here because it is Kydex. It's the mouth of it is open and it's shaped to the gun. But if you were to use a leather holster and you didn't look, that might be able to grab your trigger. Look at what you're doing. You don't take your eyes off the target when you're shooting at the target. I don't think that you should take your eyes off your holster when you're reholstering. One of the other things, and you've seen me do this in the last video, and you just saw me do it right now, is I came in here and I pressed my hoodie up against my body because I'm trying to keep everything out of the way of that trigger. I don't want any material from my shirt or anything like that trying to bind up where my gun's going to my holster or anything like that. So look at what you're doing. Move any garments, any equipment, anything else out of the way. Sometimes if you're wearing a vest, if you're wearing other things, if you've got a duty belt on, if you're law enforcement and you have an OTV on top of that, sometimes things will get in the way of your holster. Look at what you're doing. Nobody's ever won a gunfight by being fast back into the holster. I heard that somewhere a long time ago. I can't remember where. I wish I could give credit to whoever said that, but I don't remember. Keep your finger off the trigger when you're reholstering. It sounds stupid to say, but there really are people who have put their finger on the trigger, tried to reholster a gun, and the gun goes off. It does happen. Keep your finger indexed outside of the trigger guard. Look at what you're doing. Move any garments out of the way or any equipment and reholster your gun. Don't go fast. There's no reason to put your gun back in the holster fast. I mean, if you're a competition shooter or something like that, or if you're highly trained and you're law enforcement, you're military, you're on an operation, your primary goes down, you have to transition into your secondary, and all of a sudden something else happens. You need to put that gun away to manipulate something or grab another piece of equipment. You're going to be higher trained. These videos that I'm putting out right now are more for beginners. So you will see other videos, other instructors saying, don't look at what you're doing. You should know where your holster is. You should know where everything is. It should become muscle memory to get your gun back in the holster, this and that and the other. And that's their philosophy, and that's great. That's not mine. I want to know what I'm doing at all times. So if you have any questions on what I just presented, please leave a comment. Leave a comment on the Facebook page. Call the business number, text, whatever you got to do, and ask me questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.